Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stories of the Shift podcast, a beautiful collaboration that I have with the Institute of Energetics. My name is Kerry. I am your host today, and I am welcomed by some really amazing healers that we have from the Institute of Energetics, including our founder, who is with us today. Her name is Caitlin Doemner, and she is the founder of the Institute of Energetics. And the Institute of Energetics, it's a movement devoted to helping entrepreneurs and leaders align their holistic businesses on this beautiful, unique platform. And for years, she's been working behind the scenes with some of the most successful coaches and transformational leaders in the world, helping businesses that not only generate extraordinary results, but also create a real impact in people's lives. Caitlin, it is an honor to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kerry. I'm so glad to be here.
Tell me why you created the IOE.
The Institute of Energetics was born from my own personal journey. I had achieved a lot in my professional life. I had the perfect life by most people's standards, had the business, had the kids, traveled the world with them both, and I was still unhappy, still suicidally depressed and considering bankruptcy and looking for a divorce while I'm sitting on a tropical island. Like, it was just such a stark reminder that the things that make us happy or unhappy are very rarely our externals, and they're almost always our internals. And so it just kind of sparked this spiritual revolution internally, like finding myself. And I already had Jesus, so I can't say it was a coming to Jesus moment, but it was like a new awakening and like discovering what all is possible when you do the inner work. And so started using these modalities and falling in love with them and saying, we really need to get this work out into the world in a bigger way. And so started compiling the healers and practitioners that I most loved and respected and said, okay, how do we put them on a platform so everybody can access this work? And it's so funny because, yes, as I started, I was not a healer. I was not a practitioner. I did not do the work. I was simply the sales and marketing support team, but doing the work kind of awoke my own intuition and led me on the path to now I'm pursuing a PhD in somatic psychology and doing what I call somatic narrative reprogramming for people. And it's just been this, and now we do like somatic art therapy as well. And it's just been a really beautiful opportunity for me to explore my own gifts that I had never realized were there, but it was in doing the work and healing myself that they kind of decided to come online. And so that's what I really want to open the doors for other people, is how do they heal their core wounds and discover their spiritual gifts so they can show up the way that they want to show up in the world.
That's fantastic. And the great thing about the Institute of Energetics is that we bring in these like-minded healers to help others, to help people to transform in their lives, just like yourself, just like myself. And we're also joined by David Groode. He's an intuitive numerologist and spiritual life navigator with over 30 years of experience helping people understand the deeper themes shaping their journey. David works with numerology not as a tool of prediction, but as a language, as a way of decoding the energetic blueprint that each of us carries. Welcome, David.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's great to be here with you all.
I'm so looking forward to talking with you on this topic of masculine and feminine today. I always really enjoy talking with David. I always find myself giggling. He just has this wonderful way of explaining things and has amazing stories to go along with his teaching. So I'm looking really forward to talking with you today, David. And lastly, we have Gemma Crutchfield, a tarot alchemist known for her intuitive and transformational approach to tarot. Through her work, she helps people move beyond the simple card readings into a deeper transformational relationship with their own intuition. And she uses tarot as a powerful tool for self-discovery, healing, and personal evolution. Welcome, Gemma. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Kerry. And yes, thanks to all of you, David and Caitlin too, for being here today. So excited to have this great topic to work with.
And what's really great is I'm looking forward to hearing what tarot will tell us about the masculine and feminine energies. So I'm really looking forward to this. Who wants to start off this topic? David, why don't you tell us all about masculine and feminine energies?
Okay, so the The way I would describe it would be that masculine energy would be like being on a hunt and an arrow going boom and penetrating through everything to reach its target. So masculine energy would be like, go out and make it happen and handle it right now. Okay. No matter what. And feminine energy, the way I would describe it, would be like an open vessel, open to receive and magnetizing and attracting and drawing in everything that you would like to welcome and receive towards you and through one's way of being or who they're being. They're magnetizing and inviting and attracting it in through their way of being. So when someone is really open to the depths of the feminine, they're open for what wants to be revealed and emerge or arise. And the thing is, about the world's been so in the past masculine energy rewarding, in that in order for people to make a living and to survive, and especially like single mothers who have to raise kids, it's really forced them into their masculine way of being to make everything get handled. However, what I've found, because I work with a lot of women, is that most of them are very uncomfortable and don't feel safe dropping into their feminine fully, and they feel very awkward. So what happens is they dip their feet into the water of their feminine energy. That kind of feels good. They go a little further and they freak out. Oh my God, I feel so awkward. I don't know what to do with it. And it makes them feel very vulnerable. So they don't allow themselves to fully jump into the water of their feminine, to really receive it, to receive the gift of it. And when they do allow it more and get more comfortable with it, okay, what happens is not only do they receive the gift of themselves on a completely different level, but they become a healing for everyone around them. And men and receive them differently, because men don't always do well with pushy women, and unless they like to be bossed around. And also what happens is the world receives them differently. So it becomes a healing for everybody all around them and for the world. And what's now happening is the feminine energy is shifting. It's shifting more into the feminine energy, is reawakening in a whole new way. And it's going to heal so much in our world and bring things more into balance and out of like the masculine, egoic control structures. So exciting.
You're and you're right, David. There's a lot of single women out there, including myself, where I know I stepped into the masculine end of the world in order to function, in order to raise my sons the way that they needed to be raised. And I found, and it's been pointed out to me, that it's really hard for me to step out of that and into my feminine. And I'm currently looking at, how do I bring my more feminine side out? And really right now in my life, that's really difficult. Like, I don't even know what that is. Does anyone want to speak on that, Caitlin?
Yeah, I'm so fascinated with these topics because I spent like those first many years in my masculine. My mother was the masculine energy in my household. My father was the feminine energy in my household, which was just such an interesting dynamic to see that play out. And the masculine is safe, right? It is power, it is control, it is protection, it is provision. And so it is structure as you think about it. And what I have realized is the reason it is hard for a single individual to stay in their feminine is that the feminine needs a container. And so in a relationship, if you have polarity, one of the partners, and this is not a gendered thing at all, but one of the partners can provide the masculine energy and create the container in which the other partner can be the feminine and be contained. And so when you are a single person, I've been reading David Data's work, Dear Lover and Way of the Superior Man, which is the feminine and masculine like playbooks, which is lovely if you're looking for what does this look like in my day-to-day life? Those books are fantastic and should be read as a pair. They are the flip sides of the same coin. And it wasn't until like, I love both of them, but what I recognized is I have very balanced energy. I can be extremely masculine, like give me a goal and nothing on this earth is going to stop me from achieving that goal. And I can also be extremely feminine and go with the flow and in surrender and like open and creative and intuitive. And so what I realized is the only way that a single person can stay in her feminine is if she allows, I'm saying she, by all means, pick your pronoun, but in this case, like the feminine essenced human can only stay in their feminine when they are single if they ask the universe itself to be their masculine container. So can you have such a deep relational, spiritual faith that the universe will protect and provide and orchestrate and go before them and make the way straight in a way of speaking, right? Can they trust the universe to do what they want their man to do for them? And this is the ongoing experiment that I am having with the universe as a single person at the moment, right? Is like, how do I trust the universe to woo me and support me and create all of the things that I want in my life so that I can show up as the magical inflow self? And I think it's probably worth talking about, like, why bother with the feminine? Like, there are so many advantages to being in the masculine because you do create that sense of safety for yourself. You do go out and you make things happen. You are impressing your will upon the world and forming it to your desire. And that is really heady. Like, it feels fantastic to exert yourself into the world and see that the world is different because you are in it. Which, as a feminine, it's like, oh no, I want to stay radically open and I want the world to impress itself upon me and I want to be contorted by everything that I come in contact with. I want to fall in love and feel my heart break. I want to like be moved by my anger and by my sadness, and like that willingness to be fucked by the world in like all of the most beautiful and horrific ways is like the feminine. And for a lot of women who don't feel powerful in and of themselves, who do not feel safe unto themselves, that vulnerability, David, that was such a great word, that vulnerability is terrifying because they don't have that inner core and center for themselves to trust that everything that happens to them is not happening to them, it's happening for them. Does that make sense?
And actually, it's really cool that you say that you have to be able to trust yourself to be able to move within the masculine and the feminine simultaneously to whatever serves the purpose, and to be okay to go into the feminine and be more vulnerable and allow things to happen rather than being in the masculine and being in control of what your surroundings are. Gemma, I'd love to hear what you have to say on this.
I'm so excited because I'm going to tell a story with the cards. So I want you to take a look at these two cards. I want to jump in with the Lovers and the Devil card. And what you may notice, if I can hold that a bit straighter, is that they're the same people at the bottom. They're the lovers, and the devil has the lovers chained. And we still see figures above them. In one, we have the figure that you may call the devil, or it's actually Baphomet. And here we have an angel, an angelic figure, really protecting and loving the lovers. And yet they're the same. And what I always say with the cards is they are always you. So why do we have a devil on one card and the lovers on another? Well, if we take a look at the devil, many people look at a pentagram, especially with the pentagram pointing down, and they say that's the sign of the devil. Therefore, tarot cards are evil. And what I want to just point out here is all this card is doing, perhaps, is saying, where are you caught in your lower aspects of masculine and feminine? And both of them are within you, but let's see where they're keeping you and holding you back to being able to fully feel into your divine masculine and your divine feminine. Where are you just allowing yourself to be distracted by? And we see here the lust, the passion, the flame, sexual addiction, for example. And here we have the grapes, possible alcoholism. These are lower aspects of self, and this is the masculine and feminine not playing out to their strengths. And many people in the world today are facing this. They're facing being addicted to something. And the devil card here is calling you just to look at this. Where are you causing yourself to be stuck? And where can you? And this card is inviting you to flip the pentagram around so that your nature is pointing upwards and you are rising. Your spirit is now rising. And when we do this, we enter the realm of the lovers. And here we see the Edenic state. We see before the fall. They are there before the choice has been made. And when two people come together in love, there is so much benevolence, so much protection here that Caitlin was talking about. The heavens are literally protecting the lovers here. However, this is still you. This is the masculine and the feminine within you. This is not necessarily a husband, a spouse, or a wife, or anything. This is the masculine and feminine within you. So I want to pull two more cards. Here we have an emperor. I love your description, David. I love the arrow, the hunt, the passion, the drive, the thrust forwards. We have that very much in the emperor. And we have the divine feminine here in the empress, Venus. We have the Venus symbol on the shield there. But what you'll notice about our emperor here is he's not on a hunt. He doesn't have a sword. He's not in a battle, because we now have an emperor who has integrated his feminine. He's not just masculine. He is divine masculine. And to do that, he has integrated his divine feminine. And we see this perhaps because he has blue armor, the red representing the divine masculine, the blue representing the feminine. So this man has come into complete wholeness. And as such, he does not have to go to war. There is no battle to be fought because he knows that the battles are fought within himself. And he is ever vigilant to catch himself if his emotions start to spiral, or if his mind starts to take him and divert him and distract him. This man has mastered his sense of self. And we see the same thing with our empress. She has, I don't know if you can see it, right at the bottom, her shoes are red. So our empress, the divine feminine, is not blue. She has red. She is reclining. She is relaxed. She is divine. She is receiving the grace of God, the grace of the great unknown. And yet she is empowered within herself with the red shoes. We see that she has fully embraced her masculine. And so how do we do this? How do we embrace our masculine and our feminine? And we have a card here which I think shows it to us. The strength card. We have the virility, the sexual potency of the lion here in this Leo card. And then we have the gentle maiden. Two opposing forces, mildness and ferocity, masculine, feminine, and yet they're here together. And instead of being in fear, this woman is fully empowered through her presence. You can see the infinity symbol above her head. She is in full presence and she is holding the jaws of the lion open, which means she is revealing the Godhead. It's quite a phallic image, this. She is prizing open the jaws to reveal the Godhead with all its potency, its omnipotence, its omnipresence, omniscience. And she's doing this through gentle, patient, calm strength. And so how do we do this in our lives? For me, it's this recognizing the other to be within you, drinking from each other's cups and having that compassion. We're not going at it with a sword. This strength could easily be someone fighting and slaying demons and dragons. She is not. She is a maiden gently holding her course. And whatever is going on inside must be gentle, must be not in fear, because her outside world is responding. The lion is letting go and surrendering.
That sounds, I could sit and listen to Gemma talk about tarot for hours. She just is a wealth of knowledge with the symbols and what each card means. And I could listen to her for hours. Thank you, Gemma. David, I want to get you back into the conversation here. And I know that you have a lot of stories. And I'd like you to maybe share an example, maybe in your own life, where maybe you were operating too strongly in one energy. And what helped you come back into balance?
So it's funny. I'm gay. I'm married. And in a gay relationship, it can get really confusing because the masculine and feminine roles can keep switching back and forth.
I love the light and darks, the
Yeah,
masculine and feminine.
exactly.
It can just keep switching on and off.
Yeah. So I had one friend tell me the only time my masculine came out in the past was in bed or while I was driving. And I'm like, really? And my work is like so intuitive because I do intuitive readings, and that is easily very flowy and feminine and beautiful and helpful. And my what could I say as far as the story goes? It's been a fascinating exploration for me. I don't think I had a handle on really landing more into my masculine until a little later. Little later, meaning in my 40s. I really landed a lot more into it. And now I'm very comfortable with it. It can be gentle and kind, and it can be fierce when it comes in different ways. It can really come through in different ways. I loved what you said, Gemma, about the lion, because I'm a Leo, and I always tell people Leos are so mellow until you mess with the people they love or you disrespect them and dishonor them. And then they become the lion. And when I become the lion, it's more like the masculine energy coming through. It's like fierce. But the lion can be very gentle too. So, and the thing is, masculine energy is very giving, I've found. Very giving, very generous. And especially when channeled correctly. So there's a great generosity with it. And there's a great generosity with feminine energy too, but it's in a different way. It has
I
you
just
could all
want to I want to
explain it.
double down on what you're saying, David, because I think it's people don't understand that because they have seen toxic masculinity, which is like this like rape and pillage culture, but that's actually not the divine masculine because your point like divine masculine is to empty itself into the feminine, to give and give and give to the point of death. Like that is the divine masculine. Energy is surprisingly selfish. We think of it as like the mother who's taking care of her children, but actually the masculine energy. The mother is creating safety and giving to her children. She is the masculine in relationship to her children, who are the feminine. It is actually the mother that is modeling masculine energy in that moment and giving to the point of nothingness. The feminine energy is, she is a selfish, greedy bitch, and she will just take everything like a black hole of cosmic beingness because that is where she births the world. So anyway, I just wanted to double down on that. Thanks, David. That was a really good
I know, no, that's perfect. And that's so great because it just gives it a clear perspective. And I could learn so much. I don't know. The more I go through life, the more I realize how much I don't know. So, as far as,
Go
yeah,
to go back to our teenage years when we knew everything.
yeah.
Never. Don't let me go.
And the thing is, being gay, that was a huge thing to work through for self acceptance and how one is seen in the world and perceived, not only within oneself, but by others. And what people don't realize, it's a constant coming out process. Like when you meet new people or you want to be friends with people, you don't just come out once, it's continuous. And that self acceptance piece was so huge because it makes one question for a man, their masculinity, and for a woman, their femininity, and what kind of relationship they want to create around that and or project and be out in the world. It's huge. And that could be like a whole show, just on all of that. So I don't I don't necessarily have a story around it other than, the coming out process and how it was building and building and building and building, and it was a really full on process. I would say that for me anyway. I could have never done it in high school.
So do you think many people are in today's society have just become exhausted because we have been taught to live almost entirely in the masculine in today's society? Go, 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 head down, ass up, move, 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 go, go, go. Constantly producing, pushing, improving yourself to be better. Do you think that that's true in our society? Do you think that there's even a possibility of dipping into our feminine anymore?
So going back to that idea of the masculine loves to give, and it is really powerful when it is giving. But the reason it seems extractive in like a masculine world is because it feels like it's demanded of us. Like we have become defined by what we can do and what we can achieve. And since I think we all feel that, whether it's a wound or whether it is a gift, but this like feeling of not enoughness, this incompleteness, until, like Augustine said, my heart is restless until it finds its rest in you, right? I do feel like we are the infinite longing for the infinite. And so it makes sense that we are wandering around feeling slightly empty most of the time, because we have cut ourselves off from ourselves as the divine infinite source of all creation. And we are living this very artificial game where we are pretending to be finite and ignorant and alone. And it is a fun game if you remember that it's a game, but if you've forgotten that it's a game, it's not a fun game. And so this like, okay, so I have this instinct for infinitude. I know that my beingness is transcendent union with all that is. And so we are constantly trying to like prove ourselves. Like this is the I'll call it the immature masculine, right? The immature masculine is like, I just want to give and give and give and do and do and do and prove that I have earned my place in the world. And the immature feminine is the, I'm just going to eat all of the food and I'm going to drink all of the wine and I'm going to take in all of the pleasure and I'm just going to hope that it fills up this emptiness. And right, like these are both the finite human expressions of out of balance, immature masculine and feminine energy. To Gemma's point, once we can like own that we are both, we are the universe, that we are truly infinite and one with all things and omniscient, and it is a choice because we are playing a game, that we are in this state of not knowingness and feeling lonesomeness, and like that, like I have all power within me. I don't need to fill the emptiness and the void. Kind of Existential Kink is a really great book, but this like I can kind of lean into the suffering. I can kind of savor the feeling of appetite. Like being hungry is a pleasure of its own, just like being sated and feeding yourself is a pleasure of its own. So in your feminine, when you do feel empty, when you do feel hungry, when you want to take the world in, like step into that feeling of like craving, like I want everything inside me kind of energy, and like relish that and like use it to pull in everything that you want to pull in. And contrary, like on your masculine, like I just want to like do, and I want to go out and I want to conquer. Like recognize you don't have to conquer anything, to Gemma's point, other than yourself. And that will always be the most terrible demon and dragon that you could possibly slay, is your own sense of unworthiness and fear. And right, like that is where your true knighthood, princehood, kinghood is won, is when you slay your inner dragons, not go and expect that if I can just close one more deal, if I can build one more business, if I can make one more dollar, then I will be worthy. Say like, nope, I am totally worthy now. And it is so much fun to go build sand castles, right? Like it's a very different energy from I must slay the dragon to I want to build a castle because it sounds fun, knowing that it's ephemeral, knowing that it's finite, knowing that it'll be washed away with the turning of the wheel. And that's beautiful too, right? Like, so it's always like understanding that these energies are inside of you all the time, and recognizing when are you like falling into an immature, and not like in a judgmental way, but just like the baby version of these energies, and how can you allow that to mature and grow into the emperor and the empress of like these fully realized versions of the energy.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think you were talking, the question was around society and what we're feeling we have to do and how it's presenting a much stronger masculine at the moment. And I think it can be as simple as the feminine being the quiet self that actually takes the time to listen to the voice, and not the voice that's self-sabotage, but the voice that is wisdom, the voice that is coming through, and the receiver being the receiver. And then the masculine being as simple as the freedom to express that to the outside world. And I think that's also at risk of being lost at this time. So it's not necessarily we have this perfect masculine world either, this drive forwards. We're not, because there's no wisdom, there's no inner intuition going on behind it. It's not driven from that place, that sacred place within. It's being driven from the outside. And so I don't necessarily see that we have a necessarily masculine world. I feel we have a world that's just separate. We feel separation. And I feel that what I get from the cards is how this discombobulation of all these aspects of self can be drawn together when we just quietly sit and go within, and then have the courage to speak our truth and to bring our truth to the outside world.
And I loved what you said, Gemma, because there's a trust between masculine and feminine. When a man holds the masculine in a relationship, it allows that woman to feel safe, that he has her back totally, and that she can just hold space in the feminine because she knows he has his back. He's not running away when it gets tough. So there's a big trust element.
And vice versa, David. I agree. And vice versa. He knows she
Yeah.
has his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did think of a story, Kerry.
Woohoo!
So I was in my second long-term relationship, and we got a birthday party invitation, and I read through the invitation really fast. And when I read through the invitation really fast, it said, I read it as come in costume, you know? Okay. And so my ex and I decided to go as two redheaded Jewish girls from Miami. And he was Nancy and I was Shoshona. It was like a disguise into the feminine. And we arrived, and my friend whose birthday it was came to the door, and she didn't recognize us. And we said, "Hey, it's Nancy and Shoshona, you know?" And then she's like, "Who are you? I don't know you." You know, and then she, like, when she figured it out, she started like crying. But the clincher was when we got in, because I read the invitation wrong, no one was in a costume or disguise. She had a friend there who was a costume designer for the different sets, and people could try different costumes on who wanted to. So we changed like dresses and feminine clothes the whole night. And it was pretty hilarious and a lot of fun and very embarrassing.
Love it. I absolutely love that.
So the lesson is read thoroughly, read it
Yeah,
again,
Or
exactly.
don't, and have a great night.
or don't, and have a fantastic night.
And here's the other thing. Every human being is so unique. There's no one that's exactly the same unless they're a clone of someone. And because we're all each so unique, we all hold expressions and definitions of the feminine and the masculine so differently and so creatively. There's a whole scale of how vast it can be expressed and come through. It's like infinite. And everybody would have varying degrees of it. It's so fascinating to watch. And then I love watching all the gender creations and changes too sometimes.
So let's get into some of the practical ways to strengthen each energy. Let's start with the masculine energy. What are some great ways to strengthen your masculine energy if you feel like you're sitting too much in the feminine? For example, making sure that you create boundaries for yourself. I think that is key. And a lot of us, when we are just not, many years ago, before I learned how to create a boundary, I found that I was just lost. I was a pawn for other people. So setting a boundary actually puts me more on the track to where I want to be in my life. And setting little boundaries with other people, like saying no to my kids when they're asking for something. That's a boundary, something like that. What about establishing routines and goals, like having a routine in your life, making sure that, your task and your needs and wants are covered, taking action for things that are important to you. decide, well, I'm going to start a business. Okay, well, I'm going to take action on that. I'm going to go through all the steps to do it, you know?
When I met my current relationship, we've been together 12 years, we're married. So, um, I would just say, working out, setting goals, going for those goals no matter what. The boundaries things definitely. But it's landing in the body with it. That's the difference. And that's what I learned later on is landing it in the body and fully embodying it and embracing it. There's a confidence with that. It's just like, "Ugh."
And
Yeah,
that was kind of my point.
yeah.
In order
Go ahead.
to have that self-care and to be able to go within and be sure of who you are as a person. And I think once you've gone in and you've done your healing and you ask yourself, am I truly? What do I want to be in this world? And I think naturally you start leveling out your masculine and feminine because you know who you are as a person on the inside. And I think that's where this conversation is coming around in full circle. Yeah.
And I love that, David, that you said about that masculine energy landing in the body, because the masculine here, the sun energy, that solar energy, the masculine, here we see it. There's no being forced to work. There's no sort of hard labor. There's not endless days. There's a child naked, arms outstretched, heart completely open, fully trusting the process and just moving forwards with the heart. It's heart led. And I think that's showing a full embodiment of what you described, David, that, when it's within you, when you're moving forwards from something within, when that feminine has spoken to you and you're taking that to the outside world with your heart leading, I think then you get the playfulness and the flow that can come with the divine masculine. And there's a radiance then to this. When you are radiating what it is, who you are, then the expression is this freedom, which is very different to what we're often describing the masculine as.
Well, it's interesting, Gemma, because I do agree that a human is both energies and should aim for balanced embodiments. But what Kerry asked is, how do you strengthen the individual? To strengthen a thing, you have to go to the extreme edge. Like when you're going to a gym and you want to bulk up muscle, you have to actually rip the muscle apart so that it can be built up. And so what's interesting is kind of what I heard in Kerry's invitation is how can you push yourself to the very edges of your comfort in both directions? And I don't know that you want to do these simultaneously. It definitely feels like something you should do one of and then the other, and you're building your capacity for holding both. But for example, the thing that came to mind, you're if you just want to bulk up your masculine energy, right? 75 hard is the most crystal definition of masculine energy at its finest that I have met. So I'll just read through because I Googled it. You have to do 2 45-minute workouts every single day. 1 must be outdoors regardless of the weather. You have to choose any diet and stick to it, no cheating and no alcohol. You have to drink a gallon of water a day. You have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction or personal development book. You can't do an audiobook. And you have to take a photo to track your progress every single day, and missing any tasks, even by a minute, requires you to start over from day 1. It is discipline incarnate. And what I've found about discipline, the thing that I know actually really dislike about discipline nowadays in this part of my life, is it does not care what you're feeling, how you're what your intuition is guiding you. It says, fuck all that. You're gonna do what you said you were gonna do. Period. Full stop. You don't get to negotiate. Your word is your bond. You show up. And that's it. It's fine. And that is one of the beautiful things about masculine energy is if it says it is going to do a thing, it does the thing. And you can relax into that because you can't push it, you can't move it. It is a mountain, right? And so at one point in my life, when I was starting my business 15 years ago, I needed to rebuild that self-trust because I kept saying, I'm going to start this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then when it didn't feel good and it was uncomfortable, then I would stop and I would give up. And I had a track record of 10 failed startups because I didn't have the discipline to see it through even when it was hard. And so what I ended up doing was oh no, I need to rebuild self-trust. And I started what I call micro commitments. And every single day, I would have like a to-do list that was like multiple pages long, right? Anytime you're starting a new business, there's a lot that needs to get done. But what I decided is I would only commit to one thing per day. And I committed like I will not go to bed until this thing is done. And so I often like had to like make it really tiny. It wasn't like I'm going to write my book. It was like, oh, I'm going to write 3 sentences. And I refuse to go to bed until I have written those 3 sentences. And because it was like this is self-chosen, like decided, I also can't abandon myself. Like I will not go to sleep tonight until it's like, it can be 6 in the morning, like, but I will get this thing done. So I had to start being really careful with my words, really careful with my commitments. And that little baby micro commitment over time showed me that I can do hard things, that I can see things through, that I can make a commitment, give my word, and then show up for myself. And that allowed me to realize I can do this for the rest of the world. So if I'm gonna like amplify my masculinity, I think everything you said, Kerry and David, all of you guys, but like really leaning into, I'm going to set an impossible goal, even if it's a micro goal, right? But like whether it's a micro goal for the day or a personal goal for the quarter, but it's that I am going to step fully into my power, and nothing on this earth, including my comfort, is going to stop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
100%.
I wanted to say two other things. I really enjoy reading masculine writers' works like Ernest Hemingway, Jack London, James Michener. All are very masculine writers. But then I would like reading feminine writers too, like Erica Jong or, different feminine writers. I can't think of all of them right now, but there are a lot. And the thing is, when someone is really balanced between the two, there's a phenomenal freedom in that. And it's just amazing to see somebody balanced in both.
Well, let's talk about how to strengthen our feminine. And this actually surprised me because, I don't do a lot of these things. I do a lot of writing, but I didn't realize that by coming into more in touch with my feminine energy, it's to meditate or to just be in nature or to journal and reflect on the things that happen throughout the day. Do you guys know of any other ways to strengthen our feminine energy? Gemma.
Well, I was just looking at our lunar correspondent here. We do obviously have the moon card as well, but I'm picking out, because we have a person on here, the high priestess. And yes, you talked about reflection, and we clearly have the moon here. But what I love about this card is something you said, Caitlin, as a very masculine trait, is that self-discipline. And yet we absolutely see this woman completely composed, seated. She has had enormous self-discipline in order to make sure that she takes the time to go within and listen. And she has taken probably years to get to this stage of attainment through self-discipline and going within. And it's a different kind of discipline, isn't it? It's not the turn up and show up. It's I am going to carve out this time in my life to listen to the voice within. And that's all I would say for the divine feminine. It's that I think most of us, that we're always plugged into listening to something. Even if it's a meditation, we listen to somebody else telling us how to listen. I think more than anything, the ability to be fully silent and be with yourself is the divine feminine, and allow her to speak to you and recognize the difference between the divine feminine coming in for you and that voice that tells you you're not good enough and you're never going to get there.
Fully.
I don't know. I love luxuriating sometimes.
This past Sunday, my body forced me to do nothing. I had overexerted myself on the Saturday, and then on Sunday, I couldn't move. I couldn't function. I could barely move my eyeballs. And I stayed in bed. I laid in bed. And it was probably one of the hardest things that I ever did, because in my mindset, Sunday, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And it didn't get done. But my body was telling me, no, you just do nothing today. And I literally, my son the night before said, Mom, if I see you doing anything tomorrow, I'm going to be really mad.
I love that you did, because you mentioned something that I'll pull in on, which is the idea that of the seventh day and coming to rest. So for me, I see it in the Bible in a more metaphysical way, a more Neville Goddard type way, where he would say that we take initiation, we have our impulse, and so we move forwards. And what we do with that impulse is we impress it upon our consciousness. So let's say I want to climb a mountain. This is it, and I'm going to impress it upon myself. Now, I don't have to literally go and climb that mountain. If I can envision that within my mind, it's already happened. And that's, again, a really bad example. So thanks, Caitlin. I'm really glad you said that, because I have a different way of looking at those 7 days. I have a metaphysical way of looking at it, a bit more like Neville Goddard. And I see those 7 days as like, you have an impulse. Let's say that you want some money to come in. And the idea is that you want, let's say, $100 by the end of the week. And the impulse would be to go out and get that $100, to work and find that. But our emperor is seated, remember. He is not going out and getting anything. So what he does is he impresses the empress, he impresses it upon his consciousness, the idea that he wants the $100. And what do you need to do then? Do you need to go out to work? No. She's sitting back and relaxing. And the seventh day is once you have nailed your idea to the cross, when you have nailed it to your consciousness, you rest and allow it to come to you. And that's how I see the seventh day of rest. And the other thing I would say is that rest, when we're fighting with our inner demons, that's not rest. When we're fighting with self-sabotage, that's not rest. But when you enter a state of bliss, and I do this on a fairly regular basis, I don't want to get up. I want to hold that state for as long as I possibly can. It feels so good. This is not about being quiet and silent and this is about a state. And that's what these cards are talking about. You embody a very different feeling when you integrate the masculine and feminine. Something else, something higher is experienced. And it's like a communion with God, with source, with whatever that is. And it feels like bliss. And it's not something that you fight with. It's something you never want to get up from.
And you asked, Kerry, how people can strengthen the feminine, being open to receive. If we're blocking ourselves from receiving, that's a great place to start. Like, where am I unwilling to receive? And start to work on unblocking and allowing that. There's the word allowing. When we allow things, it allows us to drop more into the feminine.
I love this exercise. And I will say, I've been thinking through, if the universe is my lover, how do I tell it what I want, right? Like any good lover would want to know, do you want flowers? Do you want chocolates? What do you want? How can I absolutely lavish upon you? And I was like, why don't I tell the universe? Today I want a financial miracle, please. And thank you. And I had a girlfriend who, she went to a retreat and asked her what she was doing. She's like, I'm writing down all the things I would love to have this weekend happen. And it was like, somebody will buy me a drink. I will get a free massage. I will find a beautiful seashell. And she had a full page of just things she was ordering from the universe. And I was like, I don't understand what you're doing right now. But by the end of the weekend, she had crossed most of the things off. And I was like, holy smokes. It was a revelation. But play with the universe. Just write down I would love a financial miracle today. And just start looking for all of the ways that the universe wants to love on you today.
I'm going to start practicing that now. And when we were talking about how Sunday you must have a day off, at least one day off of doing absolutely nothing, what came into my brain was Eat, Pray, Love, and where they were in Italy. It was they were in a barber shop, and the Italian man was talking about how Americans, they never stop to have a day off, and they call it, I don't remember how they say it in Italian, but it's the sweetness of doing nothing. And I think I'm going to practice that a little bit more. The sweetness of doing nothing.
Yeah, I love that.
So that pretty much concludes our podcast for today. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for joining me. And Caitlin, I'd like you to just finish off by just talking a little bit about what IOE is and how people can join and receive from all of our beautiful healers.
So if you are looking to do something specific, we have a directory marketplace where you can just find a practitioner. You can purchase sessions with Gemma or with David or with Kerry or with me actually at this point. And so you can just purchase an individual session and like experience that modality for yourself. We also have our Bliss membership, which is like daily practicing of this muscle, right? How do I regulate my nervous system? How do I open up intuition? And so we just have little baby checkpoints throughout the week that you can try our free 2-week trial and just experience this work for yourself and see, kind of dip your toe in the water, see if you like the work, and then you can decide if you want to go deeper. We also have our monthly soul circles, which are free. So if you just want to come and check those out, we have those on our calendar. And I want to say it's like the third Saturday morning of the month. But you can come and try those out as well. So our goal is to give you kind of an entire buffet table where you can try a free group experience or a low-priced membership group experience, or you can purchase the one-on-one private experiences as well, so that you can choose where you're at in your personal journey and get the thing that you most need to support you in your evolution.
Thank you guys for joining me today, and I hope to have you on my podcast again sometime really soon. Thanks very much.